Hello, my name is Isaiah Lyons, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about why I feel college athletes should be paid. Did you know that a typical college athlete devotes about 43.3 hours per week to his or her sport? That's not including their time for their classes, such as like homework, studying for tests, and so on. I believe college athletes should get paid, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about why certain people feel they shouldn't get paid, why others believe they should get paid, and why I believe they should be paid. First, I'm going to talk to you guys about why people feel they shouldn't get paid, which I disagree with. The first one is that different schools have different tuition rates, and the effect of the price margin would be affected dramatically. For instance, let's say we have a D1 school compared to a junior college small school. How much they would price or basically give salary to a college athlete would be different from the price of the smaller college. And so it'd be harder for recruiters to draft in students knowing that their salary or their pay would be determined by how big or how small the school is. Since it would be considered a salary, there would be taxes taken out of how much they got paid. A Kentucky professor named John R. Thielen gives an example saying that if we were to remove the scholarships and just give the students or college athletes $100,000 per year, $60,000 of that would go to their tuition, their board, their room, everything like that. Another $30,000 would go to taxes, state and federal taxes. So pretty much it'll leave the student with about maybe $10,000 a year to pay any kind of books, fees they have left to pay with. Many feel they already have full rides of education, medical care, meals, no student loans is enough for them to just get by without having any problems. John Thielen also states that it will ruin the play for the sport. He states that many people go to college and play sports because they love the sport. Whereas I don't feel it'll change the game. It'll just give an incentive for people to try harder and put less stress on their athletes. He also feels that the goal is to offer education service to the students, not a payroll or salary. Looking at this graph here, we see on the first one, the left-hand side, is the cost of a college education enough payment for student athletes? 87% say no, 13% say yes. Next one, if the primary revenue generating sports at most big time institutions are men's basketball and football, should other student athletes also be paid? 75% say yes, 25% say no. So looking at this graph here, it takes into consideration those smaller sports. So those smaller sports that don't get enough revenue or aren't as big and popular as football and basketball, they would be compensated through the larger sports that are being taken care of. The third graph looks at, does a large amount of money made by universities in the NCAA entitle student athletes to be paid? 75% say yes, 25% say no. This is basically saying that all the money that the NCAA and the universities make, should the student athletes get part of it or just some of it? Looking at the bottom part of the graph, it says, which of the following presents the biggest challenges in paying student athletes? If we look at the top two, it's basically just talking about taxing on how they would pay these student athletes. We have the fair market value for student athletes, which basically is saying, how would you pay student athletes? Would you pay them based on their athletic ability, or would you just pay them based on the school and what school they're at? You have legal competitions of paying student athletes, which basically you have the Title V or the Title IV, which have certain restrictions on how student athletes can't receive endorsements and so on. Then you have the bottom part, adverse effects on smaller school programs, which is 12.5, and equity for female athletes. These bottom two, I feel like these are the smallest ones, so there would be some sort of compensation for the bottom two to be brought out fairly. Looking at this next slide, we see many reasons as to why having a college athlete dedicate 43.3 hours of his or her week to the sport, which not including time for studying, that's a big to-do. If we look at it this way, it states that for every hour you spend in class, that's 3 hours outside of class you have to study. So basically, if we look at a full-time student, which will be about maybe, about 12 credits or so. So it'll come out to about 50 hours of studying. That's in time for school and out of time for studying outside. And add that to their 43.3 hours a week. That totals for 90.3 hours. So 90 hours a week they're giving time for studying and their sport. A typical day for a college athlete would be waking up about maybe 7 a.m., have their own conditioning, weightlifting, maybe go to class. Middle of the day, they have their independent workout, which basically is just you're in the gym shooting or you're just lifting weights. And then maybe about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when you have your practice. Once practice is over, which is roughly about 9 o'clock at night, then they go home, or go back to their dorm, have time for study hall, study for tests, and do any homework they have the following day. A salary would help student athletes learn how to manage their money. While in school, they'll know what they have to need versus a want, whereas they'll know they'll need food when the cafeteria is not open, or they know that they'll need clothes, dress clothes, for if they have like a team dinner to go to and they have to dress nice. Another one that caught my attention was that the NCAA made a contract for $11 billion with CBS and Turner Sports for the March Madness between the years of 2011 and 2024, and a $500 million deal with ESPN. That means just for the month of March, they're getting, for how many years is that? 9 plus 4, 13. For 13 years, they're getting $11 billion for being aired for 1 month throughout the year only. By paying student athletes, it'll help keep them in school longer as well and finish their degree. Many people or many athletes don't finish their degree and go on to play professionally or play in a different league because they have ends meets they have to meet. They either have bills they have to pay, they have maybe families they have to take care of, and by staying in school to end their degree just proceeds them further back from making money. Not to mention, come finals time or whatever, students miss a lot of school and bring in a lot of revenue for them times missing school. So therefore, they're taking a loss on themselves just to bring in the school money. Tyson Hernett from the Huffington Post states that we don't have to pay them NBA or NFL contract type salaries, but maybe $1,000, $2,000 a year just to help them get anything they need necessity wise, either meals, anything like that. By doing that, it'll help them get money. Whereas by paying them a large lump sum, it's not taking a toll out on the whole university as a whole. Looking at, this is the University of Texas, basically. It's revenues versus scholarship expenses. So the red line shows the revenues for the month or for the years of 2005 to 2012. And the blue line is the expenses. So at UT, their athletic revenue, they brought in, we can see it increases from $89.7 million to $150.3 million. Whereas their scholarship rate is under 20 million. So between that gap, they're able to pay just a small incentive to their student athletes just to help them get by. I do agree that college athletes should get paid, because by them not getting paid, it's basically they're putting in work for something that they're trying to pursue or dream to make it into the next level. Whereas by them trying to make it to the next level, they're going to lose focus and put more attention towards their sport than their school. Even though they have to have good grades to play their sport, they're going to try and put that sport first. Whereas if we pay these student athletes, it'll be easier, take less stress off the students from not trying to work so hard and overdo themselves. Think about this. If I was to tell you, hey, I need you to do so-and-so, play this sport for me, and I'm going to record it and air it. But if it makes money, I'm not going to give you any. I'm going to just keep it for myself. That's what's basically happening with these college students. Yeah, they're having fun and they like what they're doing, but at the same time, shouldn't you want to give a little incentive to it, to what the sport they're doing and the revenue they're bringing in? So today, I talked to you guys about why I feel college athletes should get paid. I don't mean, I try to persuade you, but if I didn't persuade you, I just hope I just informed you a little bit more as to why I feel college athletes should get paid. Thank you.